Okay, so JustEat, it's online takeaway ordering. Fabian Siegel from Lieferheld, he explained about the concept an hour or so ago, so I don't want to go into details about what it is we're doing. So we're a bit like Lieferheld, just around 15 times bigger. A few key stats about our company. We have around 20,000 restaurants. We have a lot of users, 500 to 600 employees, and in peak hour, there's around 50,000 meals going through our platform. Now, I've seen most of the presentations today, and there's been a lot of great companies and great entrepreneurs up here explaining about why they're successful and how you have to do things and giving a lot of good advice. It's been really good. And a lot of these companies have actually been marketplaces, so what can I really add to that? Well, one of the unique things about JustEat is that we are not only local, but we are hyper-local. So, talking about being a gorilla, if we are an animal, we're not a gorilla, we're not a tiger or an eagle or whatever. We are a millipede. That's a great animal. Of course, it's slightly controversial to talk about a company being a millipede when we work with food, but actually that is the case. So why are we a millipede? I'll come back to that. Take away the smart way is our vision. It's a promise to the consumers about more convenient way of ordering. It's a promise to the restaurants about helping their business. At the core of that is we're giving them extra orders, but there's a lot of other stuff we're going to do for these guys, which we're already doing today. We're building an entire ecosystem for the restaurants. And again, that has a few applications. We have to be hyper local, and we have to treat all the other functions in our company, not only technology, but all the other functions in our company are really, really important. Sales, marketing, operations are as important as technology. Of course, we are a technology company, but we are a lot more than that. This guy, he's key to our success. He's a restaurant owner. I don't know how much you guys know about the classic takeaway restaurant, but it's hard-working entrepreneurs. They're also very difficult sometimes to work together with, but we've kind of handled that. And we have to work together with a lot of these guys in every single postcode. Because for us, the real marketplace is not a country, it's not a city, no, it's the postcode. These guys only deliver in a radius around 3 to 4 or 5 miles. So in order to build choice, we have to work together with all of these guys in every single postcode. This is the consumer. They're very happy. Fine, let's move on. So as I said, in every single postcode, we have to build demand and supply. And the trick here is that you can't really run too fast with either of them. You have to build them sort of, synchronized. Of course, one of them can move a bit faster than the other one in the beginning, but then the other one has to catch up. And typically, we believe you have to push the supply side. You have to push the restaurants. But then when you push them a bit, you need to make sure they get some orders. So all the time, demand and supply has to walk together. And again, this is London. Is that a market? No. There's a lot of markets in London. In every single postcode, we have to develop demand and supply. In every single postcode in London, we have to get momentum on both demand and supply sort of coordinated. And that's, of course, why we're a millipede. Where is JustEat right now? We're in a lot of countries. So in every single of these countries, there are hundreds or maybe thousands of postcodes. In every single of these countries, we have to be a millipede. We have to grow supply and demand in many, many different places. Also, not only do we have to handle demand and supply in every single postcode, but actually food is it's a cultural thing. So the whole industry structure is actually different from country to country. If you compare Northwestern Europe to India and Brazil, it's huge differences. That means we need to have local teams on the ground, not just some sales guys or whatever. No, we actually need to have fairly significant local teams. The classic Silicon Valley-based tech company, they are all sitting in Silicon Valley, and then maybe they open a sales office in Europe and in Asia after a while. In our case, I try to take kind of a very basic version of our the business activity in our company, and the blue is how local they are, and red is how central they are. As you can see, sales is it's entirely It's entirely local. Even marketing is actually around half of our marketing power actually comes from the local teams, working together with the restaurants around trade marketing and doing local campaigns. Customer care is also very local. Now that's maybe a bit controversial. Why don't we just have one huge call center in India or something like that? Well, actually, it's the link between the customers and the restaurants and us. To get a lot of insight into that, it's really important that the local team is sitting next to customer care. It gives them a lot of insight the first few years. I'm sure 5 years from now, we might have centralized a number of the customer care units around the world. But in the first few years when we launched the country, it's really important that the customer care guys give feedback to the marketing guys and the sales side about what are the issues right now. Administration, finance, technology, that is mainly central. But actually, even on technology side, there are a few differences because of the industry structure, for example, on the restaurant side. So, in order to kind of make this work and scale it internationally, it's quite complicated. Can be quite frustrating. But when it works, it's absolutely awesome. You kind of cracked it, and then you can scale. It takes some time, but we have managed to crack it now. So, of course, there's a lot of things here which are important in order to crack it. One of them is being the culture of the company. Even though we have people sitting in 14, 15 offices on 4 continents, we need to make sure we have the same kind of core culture. I can do a long speech about that. I guess all of you know how important to have a strong shared culture is. But on the structure side, I think it's also very interesting. Of course, we have a normal line structure in our company. The countries reporting up into the system. But then we have also built functional groups across the company. This is very important. These functional groups are basically centers of excellence. And what they make sure is that we use the very best skill set within each of the functions, and we use that in all countries. It looks very, very simple up here on the chart, but it takes years to build and perfect. It's not until the last year, I would say, that we've been really good at this. And we've been trying to do it for 3.5 years. So of course the guys actually in charge of this, we call them paratroopers. Because they have to fly in and fix the problems and make sure that they share all this knowledge. And you can have different tools to help you. The culture is important. The profile, the talent of these paratroopers is important. There's a number of things that have to work out before it really works. But this setup with the functional groups cutting across has been absolutely essential for us in order to scale. Does it work? I think it does. You have a graph here over our revenues. So right now we are around $500 million in food value. That's of course not our revenue. We take a cut of the transaction and have a few other revenue streams on top of that. But as you can see, it's been a nice ride the last couple of years. Coming back to the whole thing about making sure that people they are good at what they do. We also done another thing which we started to do over the last half year, which I think is fairly unique for a digital company of our size at our stage. It's typically only much bigger companies that are doing that. But we built, IBM have an academy and Microsoft has an academy. I'm sure Google has an academy. All the big guys have an academy. So we also want to have an academy, of course. And then, of course, we're doing it in sort of our own way, which is a slightly quirky way. But anyway, we built an academy. And the point about the academy is it's a long-term thinking. It's about institutionalizing, professionalizing learning within the company. It's something we do also together with external parties, but a lot of it is based on our own internal experts. And it's everything from middle management coaching and training all the way down to how does the actual customer care agent work. And it's across the group. It's not only the UK guys sitting north of London. It's on the all the companies we have in the group. It's a very complicated setup. It's a bit it's actually quite a challenge to get going. But now it's started, and I have high hopes for this going forward. I don't expect to see a lot of leverage from this over the next 6 to 12 months. Again, it's a long-term thing. That's one of the ambitions behind our company. That is to build a success that lasts for decades and decades. And if you want to do that, you have to institutionalize learning some way or another. not only on the cultural level, but actually implement structures and processes so you do institutionalize it. So that's our academy. But of course, it doesn't end here. The ultimate vision, of course, is to build robots that are doing delivery all over the world. That's the end game for us. It's going to be awesome to have thousands of delivery robots all over the place. My colleagues, they don't like me talking about it, but anyway, I think that's where we're going. So that's it from JustEat.